So Tories in the PPC, the polling numbers, Angus Reid showing Poilievre polling, is that the party or personal numbers?
That's the party. Like,
Okay.
if there was a general election today, so that's Angus Reid.
Yeah, 37 over 30.
And I think the NDP were getting 19 or 20,
yeah,
which is okay.
Because there was a whole thing with CTV. I saw this headline in real time, and then I watched the segment on True North where they're talking about how the headline CTV ran with in their own poll was that, like their Nanos poll, was that Trudeau was winning in the preferred PM poll. But we don't vote for the PM, we vote for the party. And the Tory party was at least 5 points over the Libs. But they were bearing the lead. That's weird that
Trudeau's still winning preferred PM. But I guess Poilievre still has a negative favorability rating.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Negative partisan polarization.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. But that shouldn't be the story, period. We don't vote for the prime minister.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we vote for the party.
Vote for a member of parliament.
Yeah. So what do you think about this? Like, the resurgence that the Tories are having in the polls?
I mean, the writing's on the wall. The Liberals, I think. Do you think that they are even entertaining the idea of being competitive in the next election? Or do you think they're just on full damage control mode now?
Like
they're just trying
to
rein out the end of Trudeau's last term, implement as much of their agenda as possible, and then peace for 4 years, come back with a new guy and a new organization up and running.
That's the thing. I would have said no until the rumors came out that Chrystia Freeland was thinking of becoming the fucking leader of NATO. But we
haven't had an update on that. We talked about that in episode 3, which was what, 3 weeks ago?
Well, the election's not
2 weeks ago.
It would have to happen. I think they're going to vote next year or something, because the current one's term got extended.
Okay.
So I think the vote is still some time off. But the fact that was even in the news cycle for a week, makes me think that they're probably going to tank with Trudeau, and then I'm open to that perspective.
Yeah.
What I do know is that we're not having a fall election.
No, definitely not. The fall election is dead.
I was thinking even December,
but December election I think is dead at this point too. I think the only thing that the Liberals have left is the loyalty of Jagmeet Singh.
Yes.
But we will get to the NDP related topics I think after, because did we burn out the Tory topics? Was there more stuff? I'm blanking right now. I can't look at the doc myself because
we have PPC bleeding out to Tories.
Yes. Okay, so we can talk about that. Oh, and then the nobody believes you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do the PPC thing first. So the Angus Reid polls, and to be fair, I don't think Angus Reid has traditionally, I don't think their model is very kind to the PPC generally. Mm-hmm. So it might be a pollster thing. But their polls were saying that I think 75% of PPC voters were considering voting Conservative. So the PPC mathematically in the next election is probably not going to have a good time. Mm-hmm. The question is, will the core constituency of PPC supporters who have been alienated by the Conservative Party and don't trust the Conservative Party, will they be enough to keep the party alive until the Conservative Party steps out of line again in such a way as to revitalize the PPC and be like a lifeboat for Conservative members once again, as the PPC was.
You're saying, will just those PPC voters be enough to keep them alive?
Yeah, will that core, like that 1/4 who are not going to go and vote for Poilievre, are they going to be enough, as the lifeblood of the party to sustain it through another election cycle?
Because that's what I'm wondering. How does it travel? Well, does it translate into seats? Have you seen the seat counts?
For the Tories?
Yeah. Because that's the whole thing. They win the popular vote. This shouldn't even be surprising. They've won the popular vote for the past 2 elections now.
Fournier's model had it pretty much a tie between the Liberals and the Conservatives, last I checked, with a big popular vote lead to the Conservatives.
Yeah.
But seat-wise, no. The Liberals still benefit from having the best geographic electoral math of any party, by far.
Yeah.
They have the most efficient vote. And that's hard to beat, regardless of what the popular vote numbers are like. So you can see there, Fournier has it 140 to 138.
Yeah, they're barely...
That's nothing. The NDP, the Bloc, even the Greens could prop up the Liberals in that situation.
Yeah. So, they need to be crushing it more in the seat count. And
but I think they will, because I think going into the next election, too, there are a few factors that don't always get picked up by pollsters that are really in the Tories' favor here. And that is Poilievre has unbelievable momentum, and he has unbelievable momentum with young people.
Yes,
His
that's a big
best
thing,
demographic is men 18 to 35.
Yes.
Ironically, the Liberals have become the party of old people.
Old women
And
in particular.
old women.
Like over
And the
65.
Conservatives are the party of now increasingly younger people generally, and
Yes.
specifically younger men.
That's one thing I could guarantee you. He's completely lost the young man. I think the Liberals have lost the men demographic.
Maybe not the male YouTuber demographic, though, if you know what I mean.
Well, yeah.
He still gets those votes.
Yeah, but men in general, I think, are gone. Like, they're not coming back.
Yeah.
So they're going to be kind of trying to play for women, I guess. Older women, ironically, yeah, are less likely to go for Pierre. So really, like, younger to, like, middle-aged women is where this election will be decided. And Pierre doesn't even need to win them, right? He just needs to flip enough
Yeah, he
women.
just needs to not lose them so badly that they make him not viable in ridings he needs to win.
So I think that's where the Liberals are going to, that's where the campaign will be fought, and they're going to probably try to play off their feminist card. Look at the Roe v. Wade thing. It has nothing to do with Canada. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gun control, which I think Pierre actually does a pretty good job on in terms of, I saw something he put out on his Instagram where he was like, look, gun violence is happening a lot in our cities. You know, I'm going to be tough on crime, but I'm not going to penalize like legal gun owners.
Yeah.
We're actually going to stop these guns from flowing over the border, which is
Believe
the whole
it
point.
or not, at one point, that was Aaron O'Toole's position, too.
Oh, yeah, true. We know how that ended.
We sure do.
So that's the thing. I think it's going to be basically another election fought to go after fought over suburban women, but I think Pierre does a much better job of appealing to those people over O'Toole.
Now that demographic, though, suburban women, they are probably the most COVID cautious, COVID conscious.
That's true.
Pandemic proponents.
But as we go further away from the pandemic,
that becomes less and less relevant.
And inflation and the price of housing, most of these people can't even afford a house.
That's the thing. The harder the harder you're punching people in the wallet, the more appealing the Tories are going to get, regardless of how you feel about them as a party.
And by delaying the election, the Libs are probably hoping that this inflation issue will die down a bit. But I don't know, man. Like,
I don't know.
If we're actually waiting until 2025, maybe, but like, I don't even know if they make it that far. And if they do, I don't think it will just completely be an issue of the past.
If it dips below, I'm going to make these numbers up, but I believe in them. If it dips below 4% for 6 months,
yeah,
then at least we know we're on better footing and things are going to go in the right direction. That's when people start to forget about
What's
inflation.
that now, like 5, 6?
Man, they were.
I think it was like 5, right?
At some point, they were saying 8 or 9%.
Oh, okay.
And again,
way lowballing.
That's publicly,
yeah,
right? And they're always kind of cooking the books a little bit.
That's true.
So it's always a little bit worse than what the CPI alone would indicate. At least that's been my personal experience.
True. So, yeah, we'll see, I guess. You know, these are definitely encouraging. It just sucks that, like, we can't have an election tomorrow, man. Like, last year, it's so funny how this flipped.
Yeah.
Last year, everyone was like, man, this election's so unnecessary. Now everyone is like,
we need an election.
Now, please dissolve. I want King Charles. I am going to appeal. King Charles, if you're listening to this,
dissolve Canadian
please
Parliament.
Dissolve the Parliament. I'm begging you.
I like how you're just skipping over Mary Simon completely.
Yeah, true. I was referring more to, like, apparently I just found this out. There's like a King Charles TV series from like 4 years ago.
That's right, yeah.
And in it, he dissolves the UK Parliament and he gets impeached or whatever. Like, yeah. So if you could just do that for us, please. Like, I'm already a loyal monarchist. You'll be helping a brother out. You know what I mean? Please dissolve Parliament. That's all. That's what we need right now.
Yeah, it's true. We actually, it's funny because we were just talking about how everyone has election fatigue.
Yes.
Because we've had like 2 federal elections in the past 3 years. We've had a conservative leadership race. We've had another conservative leadership race.
Yes.
And those basically felt like federal elections. In fact, they were actually longer than federal elections.
There's the leadership race in Alberta for the Conservatives.
For the Greens, federally, allegedly.
For the NDP in BC. In Quebec, there's an election. Locally here in Ottawa, there's a municipal election that nobody cares about.
In Ontario,
yeah. So, but...
And provincial as well.
Yeah. So it's like...
June.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I do have election fatigue, but it's at the point where now, I'm like, I gotta give it to the... I might have said this before, but like, the whole vote blue no matter who in the United States in 2020, I finally sort of understand those people now. Not like the Trump derangement part of it, but like the part where it's like, yeah, if you really think that this guy is damaging your country, you're gonna vote blue no matter. So I guess basically what I'm saying is,
if you're hyped up on Steele dossier, Russian collusion nonsense.
So for Canada, 2023, 2024. I'm not saying vote blue no matter who, because we tried that with O'Toole and
we sure did.
He turned out not to be blue at all.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is vote blue as long as they do what you want them to do.
Vote blue as long as they're actually blue.
Exactly.
And if not, vote purple.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I'm willing to vote blue because we need to get Trudeau out. And Poilievre, so far, he's kept to his promises. He's kept to his word. The minute he goes back on his word, I'm back on the purple team. But yeah. I also want Trudeau out. And it depends. It depends on the issue, too. Because it's like, I really want Trudeau out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he needs to. Like, I don't know if my one vote will matter. Like, I do kind of live in a swing riding. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's at the point where I understand those vote blue no matter who people. Because it's like, I just don't like this guy. He's an embarrassment to our country. We need to. I heard the Democrats in 2020 describe voting, like the socialist Democrats, they describe voting for Joe Biden as harm reduction. And I'm going to hijack their terminology.
It obviously wasn't in retrospect, but it was a nice thought at the time.
Voting for Poilievre is harm reduction, man.
Yeah, I get it.
These people have harmed our country. I don't know, what do you think? I guess you kind of...
No, it's a fair point. Yeah. And I've been careful here. I've never disclosed my voting intentions or record in any pennant thing. That's not even really intentional. I just never went there. I will not be voting Conservative in the next election.
You've already
almost
made
guaranteed.
Your mind.
Oh yeah, because right now I live in charade country.
Yeah.
So
your vote won't matter.
My vote will not matter, and there's no way I can help a Conservative candidate defeat a Liberal or a New Democrat.
Yeah.
Both of whom are going to do better than the Conservative candidate, no matter what.
Yeah.
So my only option is to vote PPC, which is what I intend to do.
Because you want to get their numbers up, you know what I mean? Like, get the deposit back.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. Once again,
get the vote subsidy at 2% and all that stuff.
Yeah, we preach voting with your conscience at the end of the day. You know, you shouldn't feel bullied into voting for someone for X, Y reason. You know, if you don't like strategic voting, if you don't like any of the major parties, vote for whatever fringe candidate you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's important too.
Vote for, check out the independents in your riding. I think generally speaking, if somebody is running as an independent, they deserve your consideration. And I'm not saying you have to vote for independents, but if someone is putting themselves out there in the community and they want to speak with their own voice and not on a party platform, that honestly is something worth celebrating. So, hear them out, see what the independent candidates in your riding are saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes they win. Like there was that lady in Ontario, Bobby Ann something.
Yeah.
She seemed really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm blanking on her name now. But yeah, you're not bound to, you don't have to justify your vote to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's a secret ballot.
100%, yeah. What do you think? This is such a dumb thing, but I guess to wrap up this segment, the whole Bitcoin.
My God.
What's the real attack ads that they have against Pierre? Because so far, they only have Bitcoin.
Yep.
In the Liberal, I'll give the viewers a review of last week's kind of round of question period. So Poilievre showed up for question period for the first time. He went head to head with Karina Gold, who's the Minister of Children or something on the Liberal parties. And pretty much she did decently, but at the end she's like, you know what? The Conservative leader wants you to opt into Bitcoin to opt out of inflation. And then the next day, he went up against Chrystia Freeland, Deputy Prime Minister. I think she did a pretty fantastic job, actually. She's really skilled in question period. Much better than Trudeau. But then she ruined it by saying the same rehearsed line. Pierre Poilievre wants you to opt into Bitcoin, to opt out of inflation. And then Big Daddy Trudeau, JT himself, pulls up the next day in question period, and they have the first epic. They're advertising it as like the epic first head-to-head.
It's like Foreman and Ali or something.
Literally, that's the title match, right? That they've been building up to, And what does he say? Pierre Poilievre wants you to opt into Bitcoin, to opt out of inflation. And it's like, when did Bitcoin become a scary word? And secondly, at what point did Pierre Poilievre seriously indicate that he thinks that people should pour all their money into Bitcoin? Because I watched the Pierre Poilievre Bitcoin video. He did one with the guy who owns the shisha spot or whatever.
Oh, okay.
He was smoking shisha with this guy who owns a shawarma joint, and he's paying for his shawarma with Bitcoin.
Based shisha, which they banned in Ottawa.
Yeah, oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, Jimbo Watson's lasting legacy.
Yep.
So, and like, literally, they're just talking about how, like, yeah, the money isn't as inflationary, I guess, and they're just talking about Bitcoin as a concept. You know what I mean? Not giving financial.
He never endorsed any specific cryptocurrency, for God's sake. He's making general comments about deflationary assets.
Yeah.
And I would even go so far as to say cryptocurrency actually isn't really a deflationary asset in some levels. I'm not a crypto hater or anything, but it actually tends to underperform during periods of high inflation, partially because people don't have the excess money to kind of play with, gamble
Well, that's
with,
the
invest.
thing, because like it tanked sort of shortly after that video came out, so the liberals kind of jumped on it.
They jumped on it because they thought they got lucky. But I think this is the Canadian equivalent of Donald Trump wants you to drink bleach.
Literally, yes. That's exactly what it is.
This is the Canadian equivalent of that, where you just say something completely preposterous and out of context.
Because replace the leaders. If JT was smoking shisha with that dude talking about Bitcoin, would any of the media or anybody?
No one would give a shit.
Yes, literally nobody.
But instead, they're latching on because they want to paint Poilievre as some kind of a Jordan Peterson influencer bro, Andrew Tate, 420, Pat King. That's the liberal solution to everything.
Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense because nobody cares about Bitcoin, really.
No,
you know,
nobody cares. You have enthusiasts who really care about it, and that's probably why Poilievre even mentioned it in the first place, because he knew that those people generally favor small, limited government, you know, kind of traditional economics. So it's a natural constituency for Poilievre to reach out to.
And those people aren't going to switch their vote just because the price tanked. Those people, like, if you go on like the Wall Street subreddit,
like,
they love that shit.
Dip, you guys.
You know what I mean? They love that shit.
Yeah.
It's basically legalized gambling. They love that just pang of despair and anxiety when you lose all your life savings.
Well, actually, this is the quirk of gambling addiction.
Yeah.
Is that you get the same adrenaline rush when you lose as when you win. And that's why hardcore degenerate gamblers stay addicted.
Yes.
Because they're addicted to the adrenaline rush. It's not even, oh, someday I'll win all my money back. It's like, no matter what, when I place a bet on this game, I'm going to be invested in this game.
100%.
I'm going to be on the edge of my seat.
Like, I saw this post on Reddit. This guy invested his, like, girlfriend's life savings over $4,000 in some stock, and it just tanked. And he's like, guys, help me. And they're all just roasting him, like... Finance bro culture is so funny. You know what I mean? But these people love this shit. So it's like...
But this is a small constituency.
Exactly.
And no, Poilievre is not going to put them in power when he becomes prime minister. Like, stop. This is absurd. And again, I'm not even planning on voting for the guy. I'm really not. So if you know... And yet, I spend so much time carrying water for Pierre Poilievre on this show and on the site. And you know why? It's because the stupid attacks against him are so boneheaded and dumb that I have to defend a man that I don't even feel fully comfortable with and don't even intend to vote for.
It's like the Bank of Canada thing. They're like, oh, he wants to fire the Bank of Canada.
Tiff Macklem.
And it's like, literally, it comes out a week later that, yes, indeed, the Prime Minister does have the legal authority to fire and hire the Bank of Canada.
Well, why is
literally
that even
his job.
Unpopular? Why is anybody against firing?
Because he's trying
Macklem?
to influence our financial system.
Oh,
like these people are doing such a good job.
Like Michael Wernick influenced Jody Wilson-Raybould, like that kind of influence.
Like the Bank of Canada is doing such a good job, right, guys? You know what I mean?
The left doesn't think they're doing a good job. That's the thing. Like, there should be bipartisan consensus on this.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't know why we're so worked up about this. Pretty much my point...
Because we're going to be subjected to Poilievre Derangement Syndrome
for
at least the next 4 years.
Yes.
And
I'm sorry,
drives me insane.
They have to have something better than this, is basically the point.
Maybe they're saving it for a special day.
I'm wondering, what do they have in the closet?
Well, the thing about Poilievre is he's like Scheer. Yeah.
But no, Scheer had the whole, he was a secret American, the Catholic school thing, like... Or the privates paying for his kids' privates. Well, that was after the election, and that was like more of an inside that.
That wasn't even the country.
So Scheer had the whole, he's a secret American citizen.
Mulcair was a secret French citizen.
O'Toole.
Nobody gave a shit about that.
What was O'Toole's thing? I guess O'Toole was Jason Kenney. Jason Kenney, kind of. Because of the COVID, he went back
See,
on
I remember so much about what the right said about Aaron O'Toole that I just totally forgot about what the left said about Aaron O'Toole. Like, I don't care.
I think it was more he went back on his promises, a combination of that and Jason Kenney spooked out boomers in the GTA because the whole pandemic was just raging in Alberta, I guess, at that point.
It's raging in Alberta. Just like how the pandemic was raging in Florida, raging in Texas, raging in red states.
That's the thing. So
raging in Sweden.
So I guess, honestly, this might be a bit of a black pill. They didn't really have anything on those guys. And everyone still bought it.
Meanwhile, we have the world on Trudeau.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter.
Yes.
So yeah, that is the eternal frustration of the right-wing Canadian.
So how does Pure beat that? Because they're going to make up some shit before the election. And it's like, how do you... Or maybe the idea is that the momentum is just so strong it can't be stopped. Sort of like with the leadership election. Because it was like, what, a 7-month race from February to...
That was so pointless.
So it's September, like almost 9 months.
That race was over before it began.
But the momentum, but if anything, the longer race benefited him because the momentum just kept on building and building up.
That's true, actually. It did give the country a chance to get to know him a little bit.
Yeah.
Gave him a chance to have Trump-style rallies.
He was everywhere. He was inescapable, and you couldn't get that in a short rally. So I think the longer it takes for the election...
I like this take, actually. Yeah, that's a very good take.
This is turning my black pill take into a white pill. It's just going to keep building, and he might be fake news proof.
Man, I hope you're right.
You know?
I really hope you're right. Yeah, you're right. Like, the problem with Scheer is he didn't have the charisma to be fake news proof.
No. Same with O'Toole.
Well, yeah.
Well, O'Toole, he owned gold himself several times.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was, as long as Pure doesn't do any of that shit, then he should be good, I guess. Because ultimately, my mom's always been consistent on this for the past year. Trudeau's on his way out. And she says it so confidently.
Yeah.
I'm not that confident, but I'm slowly becoming that confident. Because it seems like everyone I talk to, everything I see online, even like the quote-unquote liberal Canada subreddit is turning on libs. I think there's just this mood, and I think they're at the end of their expiry date, and it's inevitable.
This is the perfect time, I think, to talk about BC United.
Okay.
So the Liberal Party in British Columbia is kind of unique because they're not really a Liberal Party.
Yeah.
In the sense that they're not really connected to the federal Liberals, but like they still wear the color red, and it's Liberal with a capital L, whatever. But the party's actually kind of a right-wing party. They're a coalition of conservatives and liberals against the NDP. And they're definitely kind of to the right, more freedom-oriented than any other party called the Liberal Party in Canada. Mm-hmm. And they are now considering a name change. They voted, I think you said 2/3 of delegates voted in favor of changing the name of the party from the BC Liberals to BC United. Mm-hmm. And while I am kind of against that because I think it does sound too much like a soccer team, otherwise I think it's a great idea. Yeah. And it disassociates them with the Liberal brand, disassociates them with the Trudeau Liberals, and allows them to break out and be a more kind of pragmatic, moderate, centrist party openly without having to deal with any federal baggage.
And I like it because it kind of reclaims a sense of like provincial patriotism. There's something about having a party named after the province that is just great branding. Like, why wouldn't you want to vote for the BC party? You know what I mean?
BC United.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to be united?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But you're saying with that, like... It's because
to me just seems like another example of what you were just talking
about.
Yeah,
people are distancing themselves.
They're getting wigged out and they're realizing that the ship is gonna sink. And the rat's gotta jump off.
They don't want to be left holding the bag.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
So the writing is on the wall for Trudeau for sure. And certainly my kind of boomer-ish focus group are all convinced that Trudeau is gonna be gone. I know people who've basically voted NDP their whole lives who are 100% committed to voting for Pierre Poilievre.
Yes, for real.
So and this is in Ottawa.
Yes.
This is not in Edmonton.
Yeah.
So definitely the momentum. It's his election to lose.
Yeah, and we could go into the NDP ad, but first, I guess, what do you think? He goes on to fight the next election, or does he step down before?
I think he steps down.
Really? You don't think he'll go down with the ship like Harper? We've been speculating about this for years, but like
We have, but no, I don't see him.
you
doing
don't
it.
see him going out like a man.
No, well, why does he need to humiliate himself like Kathleen Wynne? Or like Michael Ignatieff?
Yeah.
You know, why have that? Like, do you want like the second or third most disastrous result for the Liberals in history to be on your record?
No, true. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So quit while you're ahead.
Yeah, because Kathleen Wynne literally said, "We're not going to win," like 2 days before the election.
She openly said that. She just said, but if we get enough Liberals in and the NDP do okay, we can kind of have influence in cabinet, maybe.
Yeah, it was to save like the Drapes kind of campaign.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Was it like a playground?
Yes, and she was
Super
crying.
weird.
It was,
Oh my God.
You know, undignified, but
A little bit undignified.
I have a lot of respect for her, I guess.
I have a lot of personal respect for Kathleen Wynne.
Yeah.
I would not call her moral, or I would not credit her with sound judgment.
No.
But she's a very intelligent, very capable woman.
Yeah.
She is genuinely a savvy political operator, even if it's hard to forget that after 2018.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So Trudeau won't go out like that.
I don't think he's gonna go out like that.
Because I guess he's still looking for his like defining legacy thing. Now it just occurred to me, what if the dental care thing is that?
Oh my God.
Which is kind of sad, because his dad had the Constitution. Say what you want about that, but he had the Constitution, bilingualism, he updated the criminal code. Trudeau will have dental care and a Rive can.
Yeah.
And weed.
Massive pandemic mismanagement. Dude weed Lamau. Pissing on the charter his father basically wrote.
Yes.
Yeah. It's there's nothing really
and
good there.
Spending ungodly amounts of money
I don't know,
in
we have
Ukraine.
sports accomplishments or something. We've had a couple of good female tennis players the time he's been prime minister. That's something.
Yeah.
Good for national spirit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
Yeah,
I
he's
think
got
he is.
nothing.
I think he is looking for a legacy issue. That's why they're pushing so hard with this dental care thing.
But dental care is not going to be a legacy issue because nobody cares. Even people who have, and again, there's always somebody, usually a New Democrat, who rages in and is like, oh, but don't you know there's low-income people who need thousands of dollars of dental work and this dental care would... Okay, that's fine. How many votes do you think that's getting you in the next election? Because I promise you, it is fewer than you people have been thinking it is for like 50 years.
Yeah.
Okay? If dental care were a vote winner, the NDP would have had a minority by now because they've been talking about it for long enough.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
It's not a vote winner because even the people who need it and even the people for whom perhaps, maybe, it would improve their quality of life, they will not vote on that issue.
Yeah.
They're going to vote on, I don't know, abortion or something else.
And that's the thing. People usually don't vote to get free stuff.
No, they actually don't.
Almost goes against logic, but Kathleen Wynne tried it and failed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's true. It's actually a lot harder to buy votes than you might think. It's much easier to buy votes through media influence than it is of, just cash for
And that's the thing, look at the pandemic. He didn't, he bribed
Trudeau was
everyone.
handing out fat checks, and then did it improve his polling at all? No.
It just scared everyone he just scared people. He fell back on scaring people into voting for him.
Yep.
Because the whole, you can't go on a plane or train if you're not, jabbed or whatever. Like that's what won him the election, was the fear mongering. That's what wins every election at this point.
Well,
You know what I mean?
only 1% of Liberal voters in 2021 were unvaccinated.
Yeah, exactly.
So that says the whole story.
They
right
weren't
there.
in it for the freebies,
No.
ironically.
No, they weren't. Well, they were in it for the free stabbies, but that was it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, if people want to buy into a narrative, whether that narrative is your neighbors are literally diseased animals and we'll protect you
Plague
from them,
rats that should be exterminated or should at least hide themselves for the next several years.
or the one that Poilievre is offering, which is like, hey, I'm going to give you control over your lives.
Yeah, I'm going to help you move out of your mom's basement.
Yeah, we're going to tackle this inflation thing. We're going to cut the spending. We're going to get it under control. You will have freedom. That's a different narrative, whether you agree or disagree, but
It's like a Reagan 1980 moment for
literally,
Canada.
yes.
This is our post-Carter malaise moment.
This is our government is not the solution to our problems. Government is the problem.
Yeah.
You know?
The scariest thing you can say to a man is, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help."
Exact. That's another
Yeah.
Reagan quote?
Yeah.
I love that. Not to slobber over Reagan, but yeah, I guess we'll see, I guess, what happens. But yeah, this might be the white pill segment, man. I'm a lot more optimistic than I was at the beginning of this conversation. So, okay, I want to review the NDP ad, but first I want to watch it. Do you want to clip this and then
Sure.
so we can watch the ad and come back? So we'll be back.
Thank you for engaging with our content. Please leave a comment and let us know what you thought. Like and subscribe.
Thumbs up.
Check us out at pennant.ink, I-N-K, or on Twitter at pennant.ink.
Yeah, thank you for watching. Peace out, guys. Hit that like button.
Better do something, boy, don't do nothing. Better do something, boy, don't do nothing. Better do something, boy, don't do nothing. Better do something, boy, don't